Hi, everyone. I'm Claudine Wong. Thanks for joining this conversation. You know, I've gotten the chance to do so many great stories over the years, meet some really amazing people, which brought us to this show because people always ask, what about this person? What about that person? And we wanted to catch you up, to give you a second look at some of the amazing people that we've met through the years. So that being said, I want to take you back to 2017 because that is when I sat down with a woman named Donna Terry, a nurse, a mother, a wife whose life was turned upside down when she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. She was just 39 years old, a non-smoker, and at the time, given the treatment options, given the prognosis, they told her she had 6 months to 2 years to live. But as you are about to see, she did not let that stop her from making the most of life. If life can be captured in pictures, Donna Terry seemed like one out of a storybook.
Everything was going perfect. I married a cop. We both went back to grad school. He finally got a detective job at a good city. We thought we were going to buy our forever home. Had a boy and a girl, and then I got sick last year in August.
At first, she thought it was a cold, a cough that just wouldn't go away.
And then I got to the point where I was coughing so hard, I actually was breaking ribs. At this point, I had broken 2 ribs coughing. They finally decided to do a bronchoscopy and go in and do a biopsy. And when I woke up from the anesthesia, like I saw the look in my doctor's face. And I said, just tell it to me straight. And he said, it's cancer. It's stage 4.
Which means it had spread from her lungs to her lymph nodes and to her brain.
I had over 200 nodules, tumors in my lungs, and 15 tumors in my brain.
Terry was only 39. She doesn't smoke, has never been a smoker. She eats healthy, exercises regularly, and when the symptoms started, she did not wait to go to the doctor. Dr. Suman Pata is Terry's doctor. She says Terry's case is a wake-up call and an opportunity to educate ourselves on who lung cancer is targeting.
A lot of the screening guidelines for lung cancer with CT scans are for patients who have a history of smoking. 25% of lung cancer worldwide cannot be accounted for by smoking. So that's a pretty big percentage when you think that 1.6 million cases are diagnosed per year worldwide.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of patients, exactly.
Who never smoked.
Who never smoked. Lung cancer in never smokers more frequently occur in women than men. And this is particularly true in Asia. In fact, for women diagnosed with lung cancer in Asia, 60 to 80% have never smoked.
The question is why?
It's a very good question, and we don't know exactly.
More research is needed. Research has identified 3 specific types of lung cancer in non-smokers. Donna Terry has what's called ROS1, a mutation of small cell cancer. Knowing what it is a game changer when it comes to treatment.
We want to test for those because we have medications that can shut off that signaling to make the tumor stop growing, to make the tumor shrink.
There are still side effects. Just like with regular chemo, Terry has lost a lot of hair, but she can take her treatment at home with a pill. It's not as invasive, and she calls the effects a miracle. Before the treatment, she was on oxygen and couldn't walk around because she was in too much pain.
I would say 3 weeks, I was up and running. No oxygen, no shortness of breath. Last week, I had my 3rd scan, my lung scan, and they said, Dr. Pata said, that my lungs now look like a normal, quote unquote, normal person's. 15 down to 6 tumors in my head, but they're much smaller, reduced in size, not causing symptoms.
We wish we could tell you that Donna Terry will get her storybook ending, but the treatment is not a cure. She is still stage 4. She still has lung cancer. What we can tell you is that she is determined to fight for herself and for others. She was inspired to tell her story to raise awareness after participating in a run in San Francisco for the Bonnie J. Addario Lung Cancer Foundation.
I can't take anything for granted anymore, like tomorrow's not guaranteed.
And if life can be captured in pictures, Donna Terry is building one filled with love and strength. The story of a woman who just wants to grow old with the love of her life.
the story of a mother who is fighting with everything she has for that storybook ending, the one that gives her a chance to watch her babies grow up.
I need to spend time enjoying life and being with my children, and I need to give them these moments that they're going to remember.
That was 2017, and Donna joins us now, 8 years later. They gave you 6 months to maybe 2 years, and here you, I am beyond words that we can do this catch up. How are you doing?
And first of all, thank you, Claudine, for even keeping me in your thoughts.
Always.
It's quite a privilege to be here to share my story with you. You know, it's been a roller coaster, to say the least. A lot of lows, but you savor the highs, and that's what keeps you going.
And when we talked, I mean, your nurse background, you really, and your smile that just stays no matter what. But it was your family that you were focused on. I remember, we talked so much about wanting to see your kids grow up, about your husband, beautiful family there. Tell me how everyone's doing. And I know you've said your kids, your family, your husband gives you strength as you go through all of this.
They are my focus. I call them my reasons. And now Aiden went from a 5-year-old to a 13-year-old. I have a teenager. It's so crazy that's going to be starting high school.
Amazing.
And Kylie, who already thinks she's 16, is 10. Both of them are just tough as nails, and they really keep me strong and gritty. That's how I have to describe it, is they're my reasons, and I fight focused on them.
And I know there were so many moments you wanted to be there for. You've seen these moments. You have been there as you've grown up.
Recorded videos in preparation for these moments, 32 of them to be exact. One's for, and as we talked about last time, my daughter's first period. We actually took a class together about female maturation, and
You didn't need the video,
I didn't need the video.
but you made the
But
video.
it's there.
It's there.
It's there for her to reflect back on. And she will know that her mom gave her these wise words and was able to go through the moments with her. And my son, I made a video for when he was 10 and even 13. And he hasn't watched them, but all the little tidbits of information and wisdom that you think you can impart, to your kids, I have been planting them all along. Every moment I get, I find the opportunity of my wisdom that I want to impart in their minds and in their life.
And you've got an anniversary coming up with your husband as well.
I do. It's our big 15th anniversary. I would lie if I said it was easy. Through a condition, a very difficult condition, with cancer, it's very hard on the patient. It's extremely hard on the family, especially when you don't look like you're ill. So it's very hard to explain that I'm really ill, I don't feel well, and I just went through all this chemo and radiation. But if they, everybody, if you see somebody, well and put together, you automatically assume they're doing okay, and so we've had a lot of working on our communication, seeking help, outside help if we need it. Therapy in this situation is so important, even with the children. We feel like if the discussion is whispered, that means it needs to be had, especially with the kids.
It's important, so important, and you've had to address so many things that really aren't fair, and I think that's part of it too. I imagine that there are times that you have always been so positive, but I know people after seeing your story, I mean, that's what they said, that's just not fair, and that frustration over how unfair it feels is got to be overwhelming at times. I mean, even with how positive
This is
are.
definitely one of my faces. Not to say the least, I've battled with myself. I've battled with, my husband, my friends, even my kids, because it's a very unique experience as the patients.
Let's talk about your experience as a patient. What has happened? I mean, there was a lot of positive news when we talked in 2017. Tumors had been responding to that treatment. But there's been a long road since then, and you've spent a lot of time in the hospital, always still smiling. I'm like, every picture, I'm like, and I get it, there's other pictures that we don't see in other places, but how are you doing now medically?
So I've been through from initially 17 tumors in my brain, 200 tumors in my lungs, and over the course of time of 150 or more chemotherapy treatments. Thankfully, they're targeted chemotherapies, and so my body was able to withstand them better. But radiation at least 12 times and oral chemo the entire time. So 8 years of oral chemo that I have to take every day. And side effects from losing my hair to losing my nails to losing myself, my personality, my memory, my patience. That has been really difficult, especially on my family.
And for people who don't understand stage 4, it means that there's no way to ever completely get it out of your body. There's no way to have a surgery or to make it completely go away, which is why it's such a devastating diagnosis. Have you responded well to that treatment? How it as invasive and as consistent and as constant as it is it working to extend and to prolong and to help you fight?
So the doctors, my team, we have clearly set the goal to not curing this, because there is no cure at this time for any kind of lung cancer. But we can keep the quality of my life as stable as possible, as much so to keep me making beautiful memories with my children. In the meantime, I also, with the background of nursing, I understand that there is an end to this, and that end will not get there without constant meds, treatments, things that are very painful. And so I also don't want to burden my family. That's always a thought in the back of my mind, that, sometimes I'm slowing my kids down by just having to drag me along. But, I also don't want them to see me give up. And that's constantly what I battle with, is, do I want to, ease their life? Or do I want to show them that I will never give up on them? And that's constantly what's on my mind.
You have been an inspiration because you've also taken this very personal struggle, and you talked to me about it in 2017. I know you just did a talk at Stanford. You're a nurse, and so everything is about helping others, and you put your children first, you put your husband and your family, and have that in mind, and it seems in every discussion that we have. Tell me about your message when you're talking to research students, when you're talking to me about why, if you didn't want to share any of this, everyone would understand. right? I mean, we would. We'd get it. If I called you and I said, Donna, do you want to talk? And you said, leave me alone. I'd be like, I'm so sorry. Okay, I get that. But yet you said, I'd love to. I just have to work it out in between my chemo treatments. Why? Why, and what does that give you, and what do you hope that people seeing? I mean, my heart's breaking in this moment, and I'm inspired at the same exact time.
Claudine, there's so much more work to be done. This is just a small stepping stone in what needs to be done to find a cure. There's so much more research that needs to be done, so much more awareness that needs to be done, and it really starts with government funding. Right now, there's such a stigma still. I mean, this year we did the interview 8 years ago, and I would still say there's a stigma against how,
How it's funded, lung cancer. For
lung cancer is for smoke, because they did it to themselves. They're smokers, and that, it's an older person's disease. Well, there's a huge population of younger, age-bearing women that are being diagnosed and at very late stages.
And that hasn't changed. I mean, we have some more pictures that we want to share of just the times that you've talked about this, places you've gone, raising money that you've raised, which is amazing. And are people listening? Do you feel like people are getting the message?
I feel like my platform is so small. It needs to get up to, I've done meetings with people on Capitol Hill, and you really need to emphasize, look, it's happening to people who've never smoked. It's happening to young people who don't have any signs or symptoms or really any clinical history or anything. It's just a genetic mutation that happens from, who knows, environmental factors, genetic factors. It could be any of the above.
And you were telling me the new statistics of how many people get diagnosed who are just like you, getting the same news that you got 8 years ago.
Yes. So at that time, the 5-year survival rate was at only 26%. And now, 8 years later, it's only up to 28%. So that's not much of a difference considering how much time has elapsed and how much treatment could be out there and, awareness, right? But my thing is the mortality rates is alarming. I mean, just nationwide, this is actually our nation has a lower prevalence of lung cancer. 150 people will die, will be fatalities of lung cancer, and over 220 will be newly diagnosed. I mean, I feel like in America, that number should be lower, and there should be more awareness just for our population, the ones that don't smoke, have good lifestyle, healthy lifestyle.
And are still facing this. What would you say to the person who's getting the diagnosis that you got?
I would say make sure you have good insurance. That would be a really key thing, because that's what we continue to battle with in my family, is just getting insurance that will cover teaching hospitals. Because to be honest with you, the teaching hospitals is where you get the new advanced technology, the upcoming, maybe even the trials that are not published yet, not approved yet. But it's that last, chance that if you want to explore. It's not for everyone. It's not for the weak-hearted. And that's what, if you looked at my body, the number of holes, the number of stabs, punctures, and it's not just external, it's internal. And so you really have to stay focused on what you believe is the end goal. Is it for yourself? Is it for somebody, a loved one, a family member, your kids? Your kids, they have so much power within them. The love of a mother, is just, it's unbreakable. And, they drive you nuts, but you can definitely move mountains for them.
And I know that nothing I can say would ever be able to encapsulate all that you and those who love you have been through over this past 8 years. But Unbreakable is you, and statistics, I would say you are an example that, yes, they exist for a reason, but they don't know the whole story. They don't know you. And so I appreciate so much that you have come here and that you have shared and that you have persevered. You are inspiring.
Thank you so much.
And I know that the strength you can't even describe that of what you have been through and the people that I think you help by fighting for all of those who may walk this same path with you and those who love those people who walk that path.
Thank you so much. I do want to mention one thing that I remind myself all the time, and I think it's an important message to get out there, is that time is not something that you are given. It's not something you're entitled to. It's a gift. And no matter how much you want to change, you can't. The only thing you can control is what you make of that time that you're given. So go out and celebrate every moment you get.
There's never going to be enough time, but I am so glad we've had this time.
Thank you, Claudine. I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you more than you know.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for watching as well, as we've taken this second look with this very, very inspiring woman as she tells her story. We'll see you next time.